The story of the day seems to be the $6 billion in options expiring for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but will that move the market or not? We're going to take a very deep look into that. Also, we're going to take a look at the charts, and I'm going to share one of my favorite trading life hacks that saved me more money than any other strategy I've ever used. You don't want to miss this video. Let's go. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and go ahead and hit that like button, the thumbs up right down below. Now, we're going to dig into the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts and all the news, but as I promised in the intro, there's one specific strategy and life hack that I wanted to share, a key nugget for you that might help you avoid losing money. Now, when I was a beginning trader, even an intermediate and into the phase of being what I would consider an advanced trader, my biggest problem was always losing the money that I had just won by re-entering the market after a trade. I know that you've been there. I know that everyone has been there. This is either called revenge trading if you lost money, or FOMOing back in because you think that you missed out on some gain. So I used to have this habit of either losing and then re-entering, thinking my stop loss was in the wrong place, then seeing price continue down, meaning I had taken the appropriate risk the first time when I made a smart decision, when I had a plan. The second time was merely a revenge trade trying to get my money back. On the upside, there were times when I would close a trade in great profit, but then see price continuing up and FOMO back in. That would ultimately be the top and price would drop and I would give back all the money that I had just made. Well, my strategy for mitigating this problem became a rule. This was the rule. After any trade, win or lose, I would close the chart of that asset for 24 hours. Would not reopen it, would not allow myself to enter another trade. And this saved me so much money and so many losses and protected so much of my capital. So next time you consider FOMOing into an asset or revenge trading, think about closing the chart for 24 hours and giving it a rest. Now let's dive right into the Bitcoin chart, which is not doing very much as expected. We had the huge bounce just a few days ago on the daily, which swept the range lows, which I'll show you on the 4-hour, held this ascending blue support with the candle close, and formed this descending blue channel. Since then, we have not seen tremendous follow through. We had a lot of volume there, decent volume on the last 2 days, but you can see that we're consolidating around the EQ of this descending channel, basically struggling, and presently we are dropping a bit, the narrative being options, but we'll get into that a bit later. Most of them, I believe, have already closed on Deribit, and the rest will have closed by the time this video ends on the CME, which is 4 p.m. London time. Now, this to me is all just sideways chop, looking for direction after the move that we've seen. So there's really nothing much to see here. We're going to need to see price hold the EQ of this channel, which it seemingly could not do today thus far, but we still have about 11 hours left in the day as I'm recording this. So who knows, maybe it will close back above that. We definitely want to see this blue support hold, but at the end of the day, we are just sideways trading in a range once again. You can see that range here on the 4-hour chart. We swept the lows, also held this support here, the blue at 31,107. Would hate to lose that. And presently, this is not really confirmed yet, but we do have what could be the structure of a reversal with a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. That higher high would be confirmed by a higher low, so price needs to hold 32,318, this low right here, to not make a lower low and break this very, very, very local structure. But as you can see, price didn't even manage to get to the EQ. When you hold the bottom as support, you expect the range EQ, that mid-range here, this dash line, to be tested around 36,000. That didn't even happen. So before we even start talking about any kind of bullish reversal, we need to see 36K flip to support and price moving up to the range highs. Ultimately, we got to get above 42K and above this range to even start talking about any real bullish argument and higher highs on larger time frames. Now let's dig very quickly into the Ethereum chart. Here's the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. Now, I am not saying that this is going to go up. What I am saying, as risky as it is there's a very high reward to risk ratio of taking some sort of position on ETH here with a very tight stop somewhere below this range. The reason being, there's a huge trading range from the highs. Price was rejected back here June 12th and has gone down. Well, this is the first test of the range support. Now, I would have expected actually to see it swept. You know, like we saw in Bitcoin, maybe it drops down here and catches liquidity. So maybe that still happens. So take a smaller position, put your stop a little bit lower if you're considering a trade to make sure you don't get stopped out on that stop hunt, that liquidity grab down there. But you can see this is a perfect perfect test of the previous lows from back in May. So if we head up, you would be targeting the EQ of this channel. Now you're going to hear people screaming about double bottoms, but we do not have one. How would we have a double bottom? With a break of this line at 0.077558. For there to be a confirmed double bottom, you need to break the swing high between those bottoms. So you can't even talk about double bottom until we're back up here, which would give us much higher targets, the depth of this entire pattern. But for now, we do have a temporary bounce off support. And if it holds support, we should be looking at a move back up to 0.0675 or so around the EQ. That is pretty encouraging, although scary. Again, like a poker player will often push all of their money in when they think there's a higher chance of losing than winning. Say they have a 33% chance of winning the hand, 1 in 3, but the pot odds are good and they can win 10 times their money by pushing. They will push knowing they can lose because their upside is good. Here, your downside is maybe a small loss to here. Your upside is to here. Great risk reward. Ethereum USD looks almost the same, but struggling and technically closed below. We do have more potential bullish divergence here on the 4-hour and again testing the range lows. So Ethereum USD looking very similar to Ethereum Bitcoin. This could be good for a move back to 23.38 or so if it holds this. In my opinion, and I don't know what time the video will come out, we have about 3 more hours as of now left in the 4-hour candle. I would want to see a close here and this confirmed with an RSI clear elbow up on RSI. Now let's very quickly dig into the news. Definitely the strangest story of the day. Dorsey and Musk hint at a Bitcoin debate. Now that's not how I read it. I guess that's some people's interpretation. It seemed to me like joking banter. Let's look at the Twitter thread here. The Bitcoin development community above all else. This was Jack talking about the B word. Elon Musk responded, bi-curious. Jack responded, bizarre. Let's you and I have a conversation at the event. You can share all your curiosities. LMFAO OMG. Let's have the talk, which to me was a reference to the sex talk, of course. And then Elon Musk said, for the bit curious, very well, let's do it. Done, we'll set it up. So maybe they are going to have a talk at the convention, although I'm not quite sure what they're going to talk about, maybe the environmental impact and things surrounding Bitcoin. But what a strange exchange between two billionaires and business leaders. Really interesting to see them discussing Bitcoin like this on Twitter. Now, next, arguably the biggest news of the day, El Salvador is handing out up to 117 million in Bitcoin to its citizens. They're telling anyone who downloads the Chivo e-wallet and goes through the facial recognition process will receive $30 in Bitcoin. This is an epic airdrop of massive proportions. They're going to give every citizen of El Salvador $30 in Bitcoin. Talk about a move towards mainstream adoption. There's nothing better than putting some actual coins in someone's wallet to get them excited about Bitcoin. Next, waiting game. Why Friday's $6 billion in Bitcoin and Ethereum expiries may not move the market. Traders are looking for Bitcoin and Ethereum to make a decisive move ahead of Friday's $6 billion in quarterly futures and options expiries. But what does back-tested data shows? Guys, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. Options and future expiries cannot be deemed bearish or bullish. As the data from the previous 5 quarterly expiries shows, there's absolutely no indication of a pump and dump or inverse movement ahead of the derivative events. It's a fun narrative, fun to watch, but if you look at the actual data and previous ones, there was no significant movement. Most of these are going to expire. The bears clearly won this round, and we're nowhere particularly near the max pain price at the moment. So it seems that the expiry will be a non-event in this case. Bitcoin price to set new record by year end. Institutional money will flood in once this happens. Jason Urban from Galaxy Digital. Of course, Galaxy is always bullish on Bitcoin, so you should take that with a bit of a grain of salt. But a lot of other institutional investors are saying the same, including Sam Trabucco from Alameda Research, who did an epic thread the other day and said that Alameda is currently long from the lows of the range that we discussed before. But the idea here basically is that he thinks that the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the FUD surrounding Bitcoin will be eliminated and will slow down by the end of the summer. And then we'll see institutions reinvested, a little more clarity on regulation, and that price will rise up to above 70,000 by the end of the year. I think that that's a reasonable expectation and a reasonable approach. I think we've seen a lot of bad news and the market has digested it somewhat well in the last few weeks. Next, on the flip side of that, of course, you got to have JPMorgan hating. What haters? Institutions are not buying the dip in Bitcoin and its fair value could be as low as 23,000. JPMorgan says, sure, why not? They think that headwinds still exist for Bitcoin, including the end of a 6-month lockup period for nearly $4 billion worth of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. I think that is fair and worth watching, but I also don't think that all of those people are going to dump their Bitcoin once they have that unlock. They're saying they think the fair value is between 23,000 to 35,000. Honestly, not the most aggressively downside argument. We're already under 35,000 as we're trading. I don't necessarily see 23,000, but if we see a big sweep of the range lows, as I've said before, and I said on Twitter, I have bids sitting between 21 and 25,000 just in case price goes down to try to test that 20,000 high from 2017 and gets front run. So I do see that this could happen, but I'm more in the camp of maybe we see a slow and steady reversal now. Plan B, what a difference 3 months makes. 41% now think Bitcoin will stay below 100K in 2021, invalidating stock to flow model, versus 16% in March. Obviously, sentiment has changed. We know that the fear and greed index was sub 20 down to around 10. People are less optimistic, and of course you are when price is 30 versus 65,000. Not much of a big story, but interesting to see that people are starting to be more bearish. If you consider only saying under 100K is bearish, I would think we would all be pretty happy with even 65, 70, 75,000 to close the year. And finally, another huge story. Colombia's capital unveils 2.8 billion blockchain investment plan. Companies can apply to the Bogota Innovation, Technology, and Creative Industries Fund for investment as of today. Absolutely huge investment in crypto and the blockchain space in Colombia, another South American company. We know that Paraguay is now looking to legislate. El Salvador not only has made Bitcoin legal tender, they're going to airdrop $30 to every single person's wallet in the country and mine Bitcoin from volcanoes. It's hard to get macro bearish on Bitcoin in my opinion. Guys, that's everything for the day. I will be live streaming today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time looking at charts. Right now, I really think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are in a holding pattern. We've got lots of news in both directions, and please remember that trading tip I gave you. Close that chart for 24 hours to avoid giving back the money that you just won in the market or from taking a bigger loss when you've already lost. That's it. Thank you guys. Check out everything I got going on down in the description. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Join the newsletter. Peace.